in the creation itself, when the creator is getting the world ready for the Mi'kmaq, he makes Glooskap and he makes his grandmother. They need sustenance, they need something to eat. The very first animal, actually, that gave its life so Glooskap and his grandmother could live here was the marten.
The pine marten, Abistaneuch, is one of 63 species at risk in Nova Scotia. Species at risk include any plant, animal, or other organism that is seriously at risk of extinction. Unama'ki Institute of Natural Resources has a team dedicated to helping species at risk. Their work is to identify hotspots for species at risk in Unama'ki, educate the public, and protect important habitat.
The current status of the pine marten is it's endangered. It was actually thought to have been extirpated from the island completely, and they were reintroduced back in the early 2000s. And we're more or less going through and trying to follow up to see what the status of that population that was reintroduced in the early 2000s is. I work with the Unama'ki Institute of Natural Resources, UINR. I'm with the Maliamuki'k Msɨt Ko'kqmanaq research project. It roughly translates into taking care of our relations who need it. So we are primarily based around species at risk. Our scope is the Bredor Lake watershed, but we do venture out of it whenever there are any species at risk occurrences on the island.
I always like the outdoors. I really enjoy field research. I enjoy getting outside and surveying wood turtles, the bank swallows, bats, and bumblebees during the summer, hopefully starting lichens in the fall, and then martens and lynx in the winter.
And then we leave it. We'll come back in 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll have a picture of marten over here.
I just think it's really important to get like an accurate assumption of species in the region, and so that we can actually monitor the populations and then focus on ways to protect them. So this is our marten database. Each of these is a specific site with a specific serial number for each camera, who the crew that set it up and who picked it up, and what dates they put it out and picked it up as well. And then what we do, we look through all the pictures. For the species, we identify what species came to the camera, the date it came, and the duration, so its arrival time, and then the time that it departs.
Historical data on at-risk species in Unama'ki is almost non-existent. In the first year of the Species at Risk project, a wood turtle, Maliamuki'k, was spotted in a section of a stream that has never had a documented turtle sighting. That information could lead to a river being prioritized for protection.
We're out here looking for turtles today. It's one of our species that's at risk, so we have to give care for it. Our data will help classify critical habitat for wood turtles.
The way that we do our turtle surveying is we survey each stream during the season twice. And if we are lucky enough to come across 2 turtles in that habitat, we'll inform the different organizations, and that habitat can potentially be protected in the future, because you need at least a minimum of 2 wood turtles on a stream to kind of hit that criteria to be a protected area.
The wood turtle is pretty cool in that it gets its name because it looks like wood, but it also has growth rings on it the same way that that wood does. So when you want to age it, you can either count on the carapace and start from the center and count all the rings out. But sometimes as the turtle gets older, that becomes smooth, and you'll have to flip it onto the bottom side, which still keeps the same count. On a broader scale of things, different nations all around native North America decided that the turtle was important to everybody, and the significance on that broader scale of things is that native North America itself is called Turtle Island. How intimate of a relationship do you have to have with your land to know what it looks like on that scale of things?
Their buzzing actually is very distinct. Once you get an ear for it, you can tell it's a bumblebee versus any other type of bee or fly. We'll just walk into a field. If we don't see anything, you just wait and you'll hear it, and then you know where to go. Today we are collecting bumblebees in one of our 3 survey sites in this area. Our main goal today is to find the yellow-banded bumblebee. They are a nest parasite to one of the endangered species here, the gypsy cuckoo bumblebee. The yellow-banded bumblebee is considered vulnerable. However, the gypsy cuckoo bumblebee is considered endangered. They've also been on decline, I believe, Canada-wide. The data we're collecting is going to be the bumblebee species collected, the species of flowers that they were foraging on at collection, and just the general habitat. And all that can be used in the future to try to extrapolate correlation or causation or what the relationships are.
If there's relationships at all and what they are, if they do exist.
Potential trends seen with climate change even.
Are they emerging earlier? Are they emerging later? But that's essentially what we do. We're getting the baseline data, and then in years to come, we're hoping to get more into more habitat restoration and continuing monitoring of those areas. But because there isn't a lot of knowledge about where specific star species are in the biosphere, we have nowhere to go. So right now it's a lot more reporting what we find.
But ultimately, all our data is used to inform our project management decisions, and then sent on to the Atlantic Canada Conservation Data Centre, which shares occurrence data with all people doing research in the Atlantic region.
On the day the Maliamuki'k Msɨt Ko'kqmanaq project was launched, Mi'kmaq elder Albert Marshall had this to say. The concept of Msɨt Ko'kqmanaq is woven through this conservation project. This reminds us that we are interconnected with all aspects of our natural world. It is the inherent responsibility of Mi'kmaq people, and indeed all humans, to be the eyes, ears, and voice for all species.